How do you feel when you switch to Geico and save on your car insurance? It's like going to work on Thursday morning and thinking to yourself, just one more day until Friday. But then somebody walks into the elevator and says,
Happy Friday!
Then you check your phone quickly and discover today is actually Friday. So yes, happy Friday, random stranger in the elevator. Happy Friday indeed. Yep, switching and saving with Geico feels just like that. Get more with Geico.
Get ready to experience the magic of James Taylor live in concert. Don't miss out on seeing the legendary singer-songwriter along with his all-star band when they take the stage at XL Energy Center on June 17th. Tickets are on sale right now. Get all the details at KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell Fuller, and thanks to everybody for listening to 9 to Noon from the TCO radio studios. Your Minnesota Vikings are 12-2 and tied for the best record in the National Football Conference at Seattle on Sunday, 3:05 boom on KFAN. And joining us now is a Minnesota Vikings general manager, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Kwesi, it's Paul Allen. How are you?
Yeah, always great to talk to you, man. I'm doing great. Obviously excited about the game last night, qualifying for the playoffs, all those good things. Just excited for this team, this organization, and we always want to be set up in a position to play meaningful football in December. That's why we all do this. That's why we all put in the hard work, and we're here. I'm trying to live in the moment like, Kev, everybody else is. We're just trying to live in the moment, be where our feet are, work our butts off, and see where we can end up.
Well, Kwesi, let's live in the moment and put football in the rearview mirror for a second. Congratulations to you and your wife on the birth of your second child.
I appreciate that, PA. Life has always got the amazing way of giving you perspective when you need it most. And obviously getting to see that beautiful gift of life. And, we look up to football players, but then you see the superhero and your wife who just goes in and, I used to be the type of guy who would go to yoga class and start trembling about 30 seconds into a plank. So to watch, your wife, do that kind of hard work for that long, to welcome a son into the world's just an incredible thing. And, all that whole experience, right? You're in the hospital, you're sleeping on that little couch that, it's not great for a 6'4" body, but, you do it, you love it, you go home and, you got this person staring up at you and you want to just be great for him, and welcome him to the family with his bigger brother. Just excited for our family and obviously just always just appreciative of everybody else in the world who has those family things and we can connect on those things and appreciate them together.
Any moments with your wife during either of the births of your children where you're like, come on, honey, just suck it up. I mean, come on, just push.
Never that. I think I don't know how smart I am, but that's one thing I'm smart enough to not do. But it really is just, it's just such an impressive thing to see what they go through. The process leading up to it, we talk so much about the day of. The month leading up to it, it's not the most comfortable thing either. And, not sleeping and getting ready for this big sporting event that you can't really get rested for because you're not in the greatest of comfort. You've got another child. It's just a lot. And just, I'll never stop, being, just amazed by what my wife and other people in those positions can do.
Amen with that. Last one on the A topic of what we're talking about now. So with the boys, got a couple of boys now, Kwesi. When do the boys start with ankle weights to strengthen the core? I mean, you got to start that pretty soon, don't you?
Oh, man. Well, if they're going to be high cut like their dad, they're going to have to work on their core. So they're going to have to do that. But, we honestly don't push our kids to anything. I just want them to be happy. So he's got a little piano in the corner. He's got a basketball hoop. He's got a little soccer ball. Whichever one he picks, it's okay with us. I probably do demand that he's good at math. That's the only thing that I care a lot about. But I know we're just trying to enjoy the process and appreciate that they're not going to necessarily be exactly what we think they could be, but we just want them to try hard in this world, be kind to others, give everything they can. And everything they do, and try and leave this world a little bit better than they received it, and we'll be happy parents.
Okay, to last night and to some players on the team with Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, 9 to noon. You won last night, so that's going to be the answer. But outside of the low-hanging fruit from last night, what'd you like about last night?
I love the defensive intensity. I think, Kev talks about it sometimes where you can feel things on the field. Obviously his vantage point's different than mine up in the box, but I felt like you could feel them. You could feel Grenard getting off the ball. You could feel Metellus running to the football. You could feel Dallas Turner chasing from the backside of run plays. You could feel Harrison Smith triggering. You can feel our cornerbacks. I just felt like you could feel them, their intensity, their play speed. That's what it looks like for us when we can be that way. That's the team we wanted to build, a team that can play well at home in US Bank with our great fans, apply pressure, play with speed and physicality. I definitely felt that from the second the ball kicked off to the end.
Dallas Turner, the Alabama rookie, he's sticking out in ways he didn't earlier in the season. Now, he's playing more, so obviously that matters. He's also 21 years of age. Right. So in your time in the National Football League or just doing what you've done, say, the last 15 years, sometimes it just doesn't pop. For a 21-year-old, still very, very young. But what are some things that you're noticing where you're like, okay, here comes Dallas. He's starting to get it.
Yep, it's exactly right. And look, we've gotten to this place now where we have mediums where we can make snap judgments and kind of write the final narrative of people's career at 21 or whatever. And the game of football hasn't changed. You have to come in and learn the playbook, learn to get comfortable at this level with tackles at this league, with run game against this league, and so that's going to take time. And so for us here, we try and make sure that we have reasonable expectations for our young players. So first and foremost, is he showing up? Is he coming to meetings? Is he doing things with professional? Which I know Flo and his staff has been working hard on. Then next level, how's he playing in the run game? Is he setting edges? Is he doing his assignments? And we've been really happy with him in that regard. But I will say this week, it's something that you just kind of saw coming. I think last week you saw the play effort. I thought that was his best game just in terms of effort, consistent effort, making plays on the backside, run game, different things like that, playing fast off the ball. And look, at that age, you're not going to know everything, but if you're going to do something, just do it hard, do it fast, and live with the outcomes. And then you saw this week in practice, he did some post-practice one-on-ones. And I said to him, RJ, one of his great coaches who, you're in great hands when players are in the hands of those guys, RJ, Pet, but he was doing one-on-ones. And I turned to RJ and said that those are his best one-on-ones of the year. And it wasn't, obviously, I don't know if it was the flashiest, but he was just decisive at the set point, the top of the rush, made 3 different moves, just was really stressing the tackle he was facing. And I'm just so happy for him. I can't wait to see him, RJ, and talk to him, because those are the things that build to these moments. Everybody thinks it happens on Sunday or Monday, but it's what happens in that Wednesday post-practice padded one-on-one session that built to that.
Now, Jonathan Grenard, he had the strip sack last night early. He's having a terrific season, but under almost to a certain extent under the cover of darkness, because he's an edge pass rusher, and nationally people are going to look at bottom line numbers like that, pressures and quarterback hits and sacks and stuff like that. Kwesi, in what ways with Jonathan Grenard has his work against the run improved since he arrived, or was he like this good against the run at Houston?
So we actually did. We saw a lot of this in his play in Houston. The run game, just like in basketball, it's a mindset, it's a mentality. He plays hard in that phase. You can't always say that for the premier guys. So we saw a lot of that, his traits that translate, his instincts, his length, his ability to create knockback. It's just intelligence as you see how he plays some of the run schemes that people have attacked us with. Football makes sense to him. And so then you add him in our building with our great coaching staff, our scheme, Pet and RJ, like I talked about, where you add to his skill set. And he's continued to improve and grow. Again, we brought him in here as a really good player at a point in his career. We still think he's getting better. And that's both phases of the game, run and pass.
Now, his teammate, Blake Cashman, teammate with Houston also, first year here. And with Blake, is opportunity truly all he needed? I mean, he's played 94% of your defensive snaps, which is by far a career high for Blake Cashman.
Yeah, I think a lot of these things do come to opportunity, but like we talked about earlier with Dallas, everybody's path to their potential isn't linear. He came in the league, I think, experienced some injuries early on special teams, different things like that, and he was just waiting to get the opportunity. Football is an opportunity sport. Are you up that day when the player in front of you gets hurt and you have a chance to come in and play? Are you up? And so it took some time in Houston where he got, really a 10-game sample for us to kind of see and imagine what it would be like if this guy were a full-time starter. And for us, it was really just about putting him into our scheme, getting the buy-in from our coaches, which they were on board, our personnel staff was on board, and then really just how do we maximize him? How do we work with Tyler and his staff, the performance staff, to make sure that we get the most out of him and maximize ability? So is that management during the week, or is it, different roles in special teams? We're trying to make sure that we have this guy playing football late because we think he's a difference maker out there and he can help our team.
Now, with these players playing for the Vikings in their first year, all right, I'm building up to a question I'm going to ask here, and we're focusing on defense now with Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, filling in for Kevin O'Connell on X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings radio network. Jalen Redmond. All right. Now, first year from Oklahoma. He's undrafted. Carolina cuts him August of 23. You guys pick him up June of 2024. Might have been an injury in there. With Jalen Redmond, what is it you saw in him? Not only that you liked, but were patient enough to wait for. He started last night, off a couple of games where he had 2 tackles for loss in each game, Atlanta and Arizona. But then he had 2 passes defensed against Atlanta, which I think is massive for a part-time guy on the defensive line. Jalen Redmond, what'd you see?
Yeah, I got to give a ton of credit to my personnel staff on that one. First and foremost, it starts with Ryan Grigson, who we talk about a lot, looking under every rock. He built. I brought him here for a lot of reasons, but one of them was to bring that mindset. I think, it's funny. People talk about us cooking in the off season. I had to look this up the other day just to remind myself, but his first year in Indianapolis as a general manager, he acquired 14 starters in the off season. That was a team that wasn't expected to be very good and made the playoffs. He got 2 from the CFL, 3 from trades, 4 from the draft, and 6 free agents. Okay, so you talk about a diversified portfolio of ways to improve the team. Fast forward, that's no different than what we've done here. So that mindset, that ability to look under every acquisition channel, that comes from some of the Ryan Grigson. And I remember the day he called me into his office and said, "Hey, Kwesi, I like this guy." By the way, I think it was late May. Late May, you have to ask yourself, what's your standard for bringing people in? Because obviously a lot of good players are on teams already. And so there's going to be something there that's not perfect. It's not clean. And like you said earlier, he had injuries and different things like that. So you have to understand why he's available. But here's why it also might be a good bet. And you saw the flashes, for an interior guy with a little burst, 4'8", 40 guy. His run game stuff kind of jumped out to me when, I had, that's the other thing when you're been together for 2-3 years, and obviously my history with Grigson before, he knows how to communicate to me. So he makes the cut up. He knows exactly the types of things we look for. So he shows me, and I was like, "Hey, yeah, that's a great decision. Why don't you go talk to Flo and see what he thinks?" But he goes to talk to Flo and sees the versatility and sees what he could potentially be. And by the way, it's May. There's 90 people on the roster. We don't know what it's going to be like in December in the U.S. Bank. But you just consistently put your portfolio together with bets like that, good risk-reward propositions, and that's kind of what we've done. And, obviously I'm giving Grigson a lot of credit for that, but that's my entire staff. You got Demetrius Washington, who I was with in San Francisco, who's similarly minded. They're a couple. They're a funny couple together. They sit in their 2 offices. They share a wall and they come up with ideas. They help generate ideas for us. And it's just really special to be around my whole group. I'm really fortunate. I think I have the best personal shoppers in the league. It's just my job to bring the credit card with Rob and KO and kind of set the vision together to put it together onto a football team.
Well, and there have to be some measurables with certain players that you just have to have, like #faith, right? I mean, like Jalen Redmond, yep. He didn't start playing football in high school till he was a junior. And, Kevin Williams, one of the great 3-technique defensive tackles in the history of this football team, was at the game last night. You look at Kevin and how tall he is, and his arms go from Maui to Maine. I mean, that's not Jalen Redmond. He's not the tallest guy in the world. So you got to look, well, that 4'8", 40 40 at the combine. That was the second best for all defensive linemen. So there's that too. But like with Redmond or Ivan Pace Jr., I mean, Ivan Pace Jr., undrafted, probably mostly because of his size or lack thereof. How do you and your leadership team, you mentioned Demetrius and Ryan and the rest of the people, how do you balance this guy can ball, but we have these intangibles with speed and size and arm length and stuff like that. And how do you look past some obvious things and believe in somebody to give them a chance?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think one of the things I'm proud of what we've done here is we start first and foremost, can this player play football? This is a good football player. We toss around the term a lot. Does football make sense? Can you see how they provide value on the field? And it's really being creative on how they get to that answer. Not everybody's going to set edges in the run game the same, and everybody's going to rush the passer the same. But it's being really open-minded about how a player can achieve a certain value on the field at any given point. So I think that's organizationally from Kevin's staff, from my staff, how we've kind of built this thing. But then when you layer on the other things like traits and measurables and different things like that, look, you want players that are good football players where football makes sense and have the measurables. Nobody's saying that you don't. But what happens when you have one and not the other? How do you scale your bets? And really, that's what it comes down to: decision-making, putting together a portfolio, and understanding risk-reward and betting. We talk a lot about the similarities to my former job, but really that's where it comes in. It's understanding that not every bet's not going to be perfect. One of my favorite authors, he always used to talk about you maybe want to go to the doctor that doesn't look like a doctor. And what's it mean by that is a person who doesn't necessarily have the standout traits or measurables. At every level of football, people have probably questioned him. And still, that person is able to keep overcoming and keep showing up at different levels of football. There's got to be something in them, whether that's innate instincts or football mentality or whatever it is. For an Ivan Pace, the 5'10", that's hard. That's hard, right? Nobody wants that. Nobody draws it up that way. But to play, it just hits you in the face. You can't deny it. You cannot deny his ability and impact on the football field. So it's really just balancing those things. There is no perfect equation for it, although we do have those. I won't lie, we do have ways of mathematically kind of putting those together into a risk proposition. We have some really talented people in our football quantitative group who do that for us. But it's then talking through it in that regards and saying, hey, players like this who have come through with this football skill set but maybe lack the measurables, here's the risk proposition of that. Do you do that in May at May signing? Yes, that's not a ton of risk in terms of the bet you're making. Do you do that in the 5th round? Well, maybe that's something a little different. And really just try and have those conversations. And as a group, we continue to get better at that. I've pushed myself to how do we keep getting better making decisions, and a lot of that has come from just more conversations to talk through the information we have, make sure we're all aligned on the value proposition, and it doesn't just live in my head or Kevin's head or anybody else's, but it's a group kind of dynamic, and I'm just happy about it. And Redmond's just an example of that, but there's plenty of other examples of that on our roster.
Well, yeah, Jerry Tillery would be one. I mean, he had that blocked field goal at Soldier Field. I know his snaps have been up and down, specifically since Redmond's taken off a little bit, but that the authentic belief in people when they're troubled, I mean, that's a gift. And when you guys got here in 2022 and I'm watching practice and everything, and I see how O'Connell and the staff chat with practice squad players and the way they empower the practice squad players, quite honestly, I'd never really seen that before. That was eye-opening to me. But like Jerry Tillery, this is a former first-round pick, and with all due respect, people probably called him a bust, just like Sam Darnold. Meanwhile, he got a game ball after last night's win for his work specifically against the run. So that authentic belief in people, again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Nothing personal. It's business, and we're going to have to move on. But Jerry Tillery, that's another good example here.
Absolutely right, PA. And we try, like we said, we try and look at everything with a glass half full mentality. And you talk about a position inside that the growth isn't linear. It takes time. That's grown man business inside in the trenches. And not every 22-year-old can come out and, set edges and handle double teams. Sometimes it takes time to learn the dark arts of block recognition and different, how do you position yourself? How do you work that technique? And so, he's probably taking time to do that. And then we've got great coaches on that side of the ball. Marcus Dixon, Pat Hill, really work the technique with guys. I've seen that whole room grow You add Jalen Redmond and other people to it. So we got great coaching on that side of the ball. So I think we're seeing the best of him. An athletic player who can rush the passer, create edges on the outside when he gets opportunities in the rush game, but he can use that length. He can be disruptive. I thought, like you said, he had two really impactful plays, drew a holding call. Just, you felt him. Another player you felt last night. The play time has been up and down, but he's never done anything but keep showing up, continue to work. And like you said, I love this team. I love the personalities. I don't know if he's your typical D lineman, really intelligent player. Not that, D linemen are all intelligent people, but, I think I ended up taking my wife to a Leon Bridges concert. So it's a whole big venue. And who do I end up sitting next to but Jerry Tillery, who's there, and he's appreciating a band called, I think it's Hermanos Gutierrez. Who I've since listened to. Really cool band, just eclectic taste in music. But, when he shows up between those white lines, he's playing hard, he's playing violent in the run game, he's getting off the ball, and we're excited to have him on our team.
And see, Kwesi, a few more for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah with X's and O's. And that builds up to this. And you mentioned the leadership team. And collaboration has been a word that you and this group have used ever since you got here. And I've said it to you off the mic, and I've said it on the mic, that culture and collaboration quite frequently in business and or sports can be trite, and it's just thrown out too much, and it really doesn't, it's hollow. But it's not the case here, specifically with the collaboration with you and your leadership team, and correct me if I'm wrong here, collaborating with coaches, in essence, having them identify players they want, they give you the why, and then it makes for good conversation back and forth. But there have been a lot of general managers in the history of the NFL who are going to bang their fist down and say it's my way or the highway, and that's not the case here. And really, it can't be the case if you're forcing players on coaches that they like but they don't love. So therefore, giving them the freedom to identify players they want and why, and closing on it, that truly is collaboration, right?
100%. And that's, to your point, it's our goal in setting this is because we want to be the best. And to be the best, you need the coaches who have buy-in, you need the personnel staff to have buy-in, you need organizational buy-in and alignment. Because football is a tough sport. When they have that tough day, we're not blinking because we all know why we brought them in the building. And we're trying to make sure that we stay consistent and stay together through that. And so having coaches who want those players helps your odds of them playing, getting opportunity, and us withstanding the variance of up and down days. So that's by design of figuring out how to best build this team. But it also comes from a real, just true belief that I don't think I have the answer. Kevin isn't wired to think he has the answer. Our core leaders are all open-minded. They all believe that there's a perspective that somebody might have in that room that can help them. And that's not to say that you're not confident in your own ability and what you see. But we all bring different perspectives to it. We all come from different walks of life, play different positions, different sports, have different core kind of functionalities that we bring to the table. And so I'm always in that room. Kevin's in that room. My exec staff's in that room trying to learn. How do we learn as a group? So I don't believe in pounding the fist. Now, there are times where you might think that you kind of have the information together and, hey, guys, I see what you're saying, and here's maybe why we got to go left instead of right. But you got to take those opportunities and explain to people. And if you have a lot of people you trust and they don't really, they can't live with what you're saying. They'll live with the logic of what you're saying. It might not be the right decision. And it's hard as a leader sometimes. You gotta go back and forth between, your beliefs, but also the group. And it's a dynamic that I love having because, look, it could just be easier. It could just bang your fist on the table and say it's my way or the highway. Those conversations of collaboration aren't always easy. You have to, there's an insecurity moment where somebody's telling me something that I don't know. Is it because of me? We all go through all that, but at the end result is way better. And we get an aligned group and we get a talented group. And I'm just happy with what we've built here. We're continuing to grow as a group. Shared experience makes us better. We're continuing to get better as a group.
All right, Kwesi, Sam Darnold to close. There's Sam Darnold, the quarterback, 5 touchdowns versus Atlanta. Pushed through some difficulty last night. Passer rating not as high as it had been some other games this season, but he did the job and he did it efficiently, and you guys got the money, which at the end of the equation matters most. But Sam Darnold, the man, Sam Darnold's trust and comfortability. Did that take time to blossom here? Like, what has impressed you with his overall growth?
There's so much to say about Sam. I think this time of year, people are always looking to give credit. And I think a lot of people deserve credit for bringing Sam in, but a lot of the credit goes to Sam. When we brought him in, and we were talking about quarterbacks, and different opportunities we potentially were pursuing. Kevin, I remember him saying that I like some of the guys who have been hardened by experience and taken those lows, had the people say they couldn't play, but still showed up the next day to work, showed up to that next game, made that next throw, because life, if you think of the first few years of his career, that's like a football game. Stuff not always going well, but you still got to drop back. You think about the Jets game where the game wasn't going great. We need a drive. And he's making big time throws in that last drive, that last quarter, because that's really what his story has been. Through adversity, he still shows up. He still believes in himself. He believes in his teammates. And so that was something we identified in him. And I'm just happy for him, just to go and show that, put that on display. This world sometimes can write your epitaph, long before it needs to be written. And I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for the opportunity that we've been able to give him. But to see him grow in this offense with Kev, the trust, just learning each other what they do best. Like you said, yesterday the numbers weren't his best, but again, you could argue he's one play away from, maybe if a ball gets caught, and then we don't go to that fourth down, the stats look exactly how they've looked the previous few games, where it's 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I believe was at the third longest streak in NFL history, that number of games in a row. With a certain passer rating, I believe that the stat that I saw on TV the other day was, it's just been exciting to him, just removing myself from it, just the general manager, this is a people business at the end of the day. I'm happy for him, the experience he's gotten here to show his talents. And I hope that's, maybe, just a reminder to everybody that, people's epitaph does not need to be written, so soon, that we need to consider context, believe in people. Kev's whole culture is positivity and belief in people, and we're just excited to see that's how that's happened, and really happy for Sam.
Did you go to the locker room at halftime last night, Kwesi, or stick around for Ice Baby?
I was there for it.
Yes.
Watched it. Really happy to see that I heard he's got a home renovation show. If somebody asked you in 1990 that Snoop Dogg would be helping raise our kids and Vanilla Ice would be doing home renovation, I don't know that I would have won that bet, but it was great to see him. Our entertainment group does such a great job. And Harp, all those guys, they do a great job in stadium experience, and that was one of them.
Well, if somebody had asked you 8 years ago if you'd be sitting next to Jerry Tillery at a Leon Bridges show, that one might have been 500 to 1 also. All right. In closing, I promise, how often at, say, 3 a.m. are you feeding a child in one arm and scouting prospective free agents with your laptop in front of you?
You know what? I'm not feeding. I'm not going to get too into our personal or family dynamics, but I do get up and burp the baby and walk around. Mm-hmm. He's one of those babies that needs motion. So I just pace the house. I put on a couple podcasts. I listen to different NFL podcasts to learn. So it's hard to scout with a baby in arm, but I'm trying to inform myself at 3 a.m., 1 a.m., whenever it calls. And but again, no complaints. It's the path that a lot of parents have taken. Wake up in the morning, have your green tea, exercise, take a cold shower, no excuses, go have a great day. That's what we try and do here. And, look, Kev's got 4 kids, so I can't look at him for any sympathy. He's been through it all before. And so we're thrilled, though. So excited to add him to our family, and we'll continue to do all the fun things that families get to do.
Congratulations to you and your wife, and congratulations professionally on the 12-2. Thank you very much for the time, and we'll see you down the road, okay?
Yeah, always good to talk to you, brother.
See you, man. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings. That's X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings or radio network.
Join the Power Trip's Corey Cove at Treasure Island this Saturday for a wild watch party. Stop by Parlay at 5 p.m. to enter for your chance to win great prizes. Then stick around for the puck drop between the Wild and the Jets at 6 p.m. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Well, once we learned the analyst Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, was going to be at the TCO radio studio today, we decided to put him into the mix, courtesy of Sukup and Sukup.com. Any chance we get to chat with emerging play-by-play talent Pete Bercich with a Ty Chandler call last night that was just absolutely terrific in a game.
Absolutely awful.
Where Patrick Peterson was doing some analyzing, so the whole thing just fit in beautifully. And good morning.
Yeah, it was good morning. It was good to have Patrick Peterson in there. He did a great job. He's a lot of insight. Wants to get. He just loves the game, and then I think a lot of guys that the vets that really truly enjoy the game and love studying film when they play, they find they have to kind of fill that need afterwards when they're done. So he's got the voice for it.
Yeah,
right?
he did a good job.
Nice deep voice for it. But yeah, my play-by-play career.
Oh, you were fine.
It was awful.
No, you were fine. It was not.
It was. All right, here we go.
The bet. No,
Vikings
don't
on,
do that.
Third down and 11 to go. 2-by-2. It's
perfect.
In the gun. Hand off inside.
It's about as exciting as it was at the moment.
Come up just a little bit short.
That's
so
perfect.
We're at 4th and 8.
4th and 8.
It's nice to know when there perpetually is a 15-person line at that bathroom outside of the box. And I mean, it was one of two options for yours truly. Now, if it had been a close game, I don't exactly know what I would have done.
Yeah.
Probably regretted wearing gray pants. But it was either wait in that line and be late back or pee my pants. It was one of the two.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Discretion was the better part of valor.
I'm just hanging out, and Abbott clicks into my headset. Hey, you might have to do the play-by-play. Here you go. I'm like, wait, who's on the field? I don't pay attention.
It's the strangest feeling when you can hear the job you do being done and you're not there. Like 2010. Remember that 3.5-4 hour bid it took me to get from Eden Prairie to TCF Bank Stadium?
It was a weather-related terrorism.
Right, and I'm hearing the pregame show, and there's Rosie in my spot, and then Joe Nelson in my spot, and like, wow, it's so surreal and weird.
Yeah, it is. It can be. And, what I mean, good night, fun night. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I can't wait to get to Seattle and then play Green Bay and then play the Lions and see where this whole thing falls.
Yeah, Seattle will be a good test. Short week. I mean, I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be, but obviously that's going to be the big part of everything. Is that team? I think Seattle really took a step backwards once they lost Geno Smith as far as effort and everything else goes. I'm interested to see how our offensive line handles, their defensive line. They can be physical, but Green Bay did a great job of wearing them out. Green Bay is a good football team.
Yeah, and getting better.
Yeah, they're good. They're a good football team. So yeah, the Vikings are definitely going to get tested the next few weeks. We'll see how good we are. All right, and if you end up running the table and winning the division, then you absolutely deserve to win this division.
Okay, lastly, SueCup.com. The team to beat in the division would be the Detroit Lions. I thought you were tripping last night during the call when you mentioned, I'm talking about David Montgomery, you mentioned Aleem McNeil.
Yeah.
And I had missed this, until after the game. I mean, when is enough with these injuries with the Lions? Holy cow.
It's unbelievable. And the reason I say it's like anything, you can withstand only so much, and then you hit a tipping point. And I think defensively with Aleem McNeil being out and how important he is just for that, and he covers up for the backup linebackers and a lot of the other people on defense. He's a big loss for them. He's a huge loss for them. And the injuries have all been mostly defensive. Until obviously Montgomery goes down, and now you're gonna, you have to sit there and see how good's the other kid gonna be, because he's dynamic when he's in there. But if he's carrying 80% of the load,
right,
what does that mean? Can he stay healthy now?
Yep.
Right. So they're gonna have to throw the football a lot more and do some things, but they'll adapt. They're still a good football team, and we'll see. They've kind of rolled with it so far. So again, have they reached that tipping point where the whole entire team's like, okay, we give up, right? That kind of situation. So, I don't know. Who do they have this weekend? They play the Bears.
Got the Bears at the Niners.
And they looked awful in Chicago last year.
Right.
So is it in Chicago?
The game
is at Soldier Field.
At Soldier Field.
Oh, the field, the crowd is going to be, just jumping out of their seats. It's going to be loud. Ooh.
All right.
But anyway.
Good seeing you, my man.
Good to see you.
Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, courtesy of SueCup and SueCup.com. Final segment next. Man.
Welcome back. final segment, 9 to noon on site, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, TCO Studios, as we call it, on a TCO Tuesday. And in over the course of the show, of course, 11 a.m., we always have head coach Kevin O'Connell. Today, it was general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Congratulations on the second child, by the way. Awesome conversation with the GM. But it did feel, despite that celebration, that something was missing, PA.
What do you have up your sleeve here?
Well, we have a special guest on the hotline, and it felt like he just couldn't take a day off with you. He couldn't quit you on a TCO Tuesday.
Who is this?
I believe on the hotline as we speak, Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, come on.
Wanted to join the wrap the show. So take it away, gentlemen.
What's up, KO?
It's been about 12 hours since I've seen you, PA, so
That's crazy, man.
I figured I'd give you a shout, man, and check in with you, make sure, big routine guy, so it didn't feel right not checking in with you today.
Well, it's very kind of you, but when we were taping the pregame, as we do for home games in your office 3 hours before the game, I didn't mean for you to think that I was guilt tripping you as I left. When it came to 11 o'clock on Tuesday, and then I get out in the hallway with Ekstrom, with PR, and I'm kind of like, wow, man, I messed that whole thing up. He probably thinks I guilt tripped him, so it wasn't like that, right?
Consider the guilt trip successful, PA. It's great to be on with you, man, even for a couple minutes this morning.
Yeah, that's sweet. All right, what'd you think of the win last night? I saw your press conference, the running inside the red zone. That was very cool. Just overall, what'd you think of the win last night, Mr. O'Connell?
A lot of things to clean up, but NFC North game, able to win it the way we did, even though there's some things we got to work through and improve as a team, but I'd say defense was really, really good. Mentioned it in the post game to hold the team to a 15 on 3rd and 4th down, and the game was really kind of an extra turnover creating sequence there where it doesn't show up in the turnover category, but those 4th down stops giving us short fields, and thought we made enough plays, in the pass game to kind of supplement what was kind of a gritty, grinded out run kind of game where, felt like we hit some runs, Aaron and Cam, and pieced it together there to put up 30, on an NFC North team and continue the momentum. It was important coming back home for this 3-game stretch to continue to give our great fans, reasons to be excited about our team. And here we are, middle of December, right in the thick of things. So a lot of work to be done, but very excited with where we're at and with the opportunity out in front of us.
I thought it was excellent. You gave Jerry Tillery a game ball. I saw the replay while calling the game. Bercich pointed it out that he drew that holding call. All right, that's cool. But early in the game, he did some good work beating somebody off the line for what I think was a tackle for loss, or maybe even that strip sack, Jalen Redmond too. But the ancillary pieces like that, and talking to Kwesi for about a half hour, filling your spot at 11, the ancillary pieces and authentic believing in them. Jerry Tillery's one of those guys. He had a nice game last night, didn't he?
He did, and really that's what this place is all about, PA. We've got, some great players in Justin Jefferson and DJ Hawkins and Jordan Addison, the foundational players like Harrison Smith, and we go get a guy like Jonathan Gennard. Blake Cashman also got a game ball last night. But our whole mission here is to provide a place where players from all different backgrounds and career paths up until this point can come here and try to, play their best football, reach their highest potential. And I thought Jerry Tillery was a great example of that last night. We don't have that kind of performance as a team unless we get, some really critical snaps like we did from JT there and some big moments, a couple of great penetration plays there on some 4th and shorts, 3rd and shorts, whatever they were. And then, like you said, drew the holding call. Just active, has a really good amount of athleticism and burst for an inside guy, fits really well with how Flo moves that front and is constantly changing the math up front for those front 7 guys. And I just think that's a great example. Glad you asked about him. And a guy we're going to need here down the stretch to continue to make the kind of impact he did last night, and looking forward to seeing him do it.
Well, he has some reclamation project to him, and he has been called a bust, a first-round pick, and then he's not bust-worthy here. Likewise for Darnold. So, again, the authentic belief in people can just do wonders for so many. All right, last one. We got a minute. You get it all. It's really cool that you called, Kevin. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, 9 to noon. And lastly, with the short week and the Seattle, 4 hours and 4 days and 2.5 hours from now, probably in the air heading to Seattle. What is compromised when you have one fewer day and travel at this stage of the season? From a coaching standpoint, what gets compromised?
Well, first and foremost for me, I have some obligations post game on a Monday with your spending 30 minutes with you being one of them. So I wanted to try to, make sure I got a little time with you, because it's not fair that just the short week affects 9 to noon. I know that for sure. But there's some other things too. We're moving forward. Players will have today off. We'll have to really grind on putting together first and second down game plans here today, where normally we would have a couple days of work to do that. But late in the year, we kind of know who we are as a team. We've got some things we got to clean up from yesterday. And ultimately continue to try to keep pace as competitive as it is. And we're going to need to go play well. I think Mike McDonald's got a really good football team. I think they're really good on defense, a ton of depth, play fast, and great environment there in Seattle. So we got to put together some good plans, and we got to stay up all day and night to do it. That's what we're going to do, because that's what it takes this time of year to try to push this thing over the top.
Wife and kids doing well?
Not only mine are, but John Ekstrom's are as well. He's sitting by me, as always, chaperoning my visit with you. And I want to compliment you, man. Normally you're so prepared for these interviews. I see all your notes, catching you off guard, and you still show up like a true pro. So heck of a job today, PA.
It's a verbal audible, and you're quite good at it with what you do on the football field. Congratulations on victory number 12. Thank you for your kindness, and have a wonderful day, okay?
You too. Take care.
Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. John Ekstrom, Sam Newton, Jeff Anderson with this media relations staff. Holy cow. Thanks to all of you. I mean, we got to close the show with KO. Close the show with KO. Thank you very much for listening to 9 to noon on your home for 12 and 2 radio, FM 100.3 KFAN. Nordo produced on site. Maxwell Fuller, guy to the great Ship Love Covenant from the 651 Carpets Plus Studios, and I'm Paul Allen. Have a wonderful day, and thanks as always for listening to KFAN.
If we lucky, we got 'em. Good time.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
You wake up. Put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
"Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?"
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
After Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
"Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music."
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
"Hey, Meta, call Eva."
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, "Hey, Meta," to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.